will be joining us, my cat.
Good evening, everybody. This is Robin with another edition of Horror Pop After Midnight. And my guest is, she's a writer and a filmmaker, Rylan Rafferty. How's it going, Rylan?
Good. How are you? Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. I'm also from California, too. I grew up out there as well.
Oh, very cool. Where at?
I grew up in Bakersfield and then Long Beach.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Long
Yeah.
Beach is a good little city.
Yeah, it is. And I can't believe it. I missed you this past weekend at, Whorehound Film Festival where you were showing your horror comedy short, Jess is a Clown Now.
Yeah, I know. I'm bummed. But we're connecting now.
Yeah. So I just watched it. I thought it was like a very unique, twisted clown home invasion. It kind of reminded me of a steampunk, messed up Mad Hatter meets Halloween. That's the vibe I got.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what we were going for. So.
How'd you come up with? Yeah, how did you come up with the story?
So I was watching the movie Hush, the Mike Flanagan film, and I love that movie because it just is such a perfectly executed home invasion. It's just the woman who's at home. There's a guy trying to get in, and she just, has to keep him from getting in. And after I saw the movie, I was like, oh, what would be a cool twist is if the person outside was actually the owner of the house, and and the person on the inside was the intruder. And then as I was writing it, I just kept coming up with twists, and I was like, oh, this would be a fun twist. This would be a fun twist. So it was then just a series of twists, kind of turned into this Alice in Wonderland kind of weird thing. Yeah, and then I also love. I loved the idea of all the twists, but then I also loved the idea of grounding it in a messy breakup. And because that's kind of a universal theme, everybody kind of understands that. And then also transformation is another big theme in the movie. And oftentimes when you go through a transformation, you have to leave your old life behind. So.
I think so. I love the visual effects, which is also pretty cool because you're a VFX artist and editor, which even made it, even more enjoyable. I just love the visual effects in your short film.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I did all of the effects, all of the post-production, the editing myself, and then I had a composer and a sound person and a colorist, but yeah, all of the visual effects I did myself, and then a lot of the special effects were also done, we didn't really get them to work on the day, so I then had to just kind of in pickups get little shots here and there to kind of make them work. But the arms coming out of the hat, I had always planned to just kind of do myself, so I put on these black gloves. I filmed it against a white screen of my hands kind of crawling out, and then comped them into the blank space above her hat.
Yeah, I like how you did that with your hands going through the hat. I like it because you can see you're also going with the hands through the hat. It felt like you were in the hat getting ready to come out with the hands, which I loved. You can just feel it. I love how you did the camera angle on it because it made you feel part of that when the hands were coming out of the hat.
Yeah. And then when the hands go in the hat and you follow it in.
I know, that was a trip. How'd you get Cara Jobe and Brianna Murphy to play the two main roles? Were those your idea actresses for that, or did you interview other actresses?
I was working with the casting director, and we decided to go through Backstage and kind of just do all of the casting virtually. So they were just two people who auditioned. The first round was everybody just kind of sent in their own tape of whatever they've done in the past, and then we narrowed it down from there and said, hey, can you read a couple lines for us? And then they filmed themselves doing that and then sent in their tapes. And then we had a couple people read for us, and then we just picked our two favorite. And Kara, when I first saw Kara's audition, I was like, it just like blew me away. It was so good. She just like really, really went for the character. And Brianna also blew me away. She just had like such incredible comedic timing, both in her previous work, and then when she read it, I was just like, oh my god, she's so good. She's so funny.
I thought they were perfect as the ex-lovers. I loved how they played off each other in the comical stuff, and the very bloody stuff. And I also liked how you also used some of the choreography in it too.
Yeah, I was specifically looking for people who had like choreography fight background, and then we also got a stunt coordinator who also played the dad, Randy. He was just a really lovely presence on set, and so was the mom. But anyway, yeah. So they both had a little bit of fight background, and they were just like really gung ho about doing the little choreographed pieces of fighting.
Yeah.
So that was really fun.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. And then Kara's Mad Hatter steampunk costume, you sewn that and made that out from scratch. Is that correct?
It is, yes. Yeah, I had hired a concept artist to like kind of draw out first an idea, and then as I was trying to implement the idea and like hire somebody to make the costume, I realized it was just going to be like crazy expensive. There weren't a lot of like people on Etsy like even available in the timeline to do it, and so I was like, well, I mean, how hard can sewing things be? Not to discount people who really do it, but so I went out and I bought a sewing machine, and I went to Joann's, and I picked out like some patterns that I liked, and I already had this idea that I wanted it to be kind of like Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas, like kind of patchwork like that. So I picked out like whatever fabric they had, and then I went over to the patterns, and I was like, oh, I like this little jacket piece from this pattern, and I like this like half skirt thing from over here, and the pantaloons, and yeah, just picked out pieces and really just like hoped it would work out.
Oh, it did. It did. She looked very good in it. And who also did the makeup? That was like kind of like when she was wearing the makeup with the costume. And I love how you did a little bit of the lighting with the dark into it. It made it into a creepy vibe. And she creeped me out. I had my hands on the edge of my seat. I don't know what it was. It's hard for me to get scared in certain horror films. But that role she did, she felt, I felt like she was really possessed by a demonic entity. For real, it freaked me out.
Yes, that's awesome. I had an idea of kind of how I wanted the clown character to be, and Kara like talked with me about it, and she was like, okay, yeah, I can see that, and then she was like, but I have this other idea. And I was like, oh my god, yes, like, embody the character. And she was doing this kind of like Harley Quinn thing, and it totally worked. It was really great. Yeah, I was just really lucky to have her.
And then you had Hank D that did the way beyond creepy, demonic clown voice. I mean, that got under my skin too. I mean, he perfected that. I could have sworn you conjured up a real demon from hell.
Yeah. She was somebody that I found on Fiverr. When we originally recorded the audio, she was wearing the mask, and so that was kind of an oversight on my part. But yeah, Kara was like wearing the mask when she was saying her dialogue, so it was really muffled, and I didn't realize that until I got into editing. I was like, oh dear, we need to like redo this. And then I was like, oh, it would be really fun to like have somebody who does like demon voices. And so I went onto Fiverr, and I found this woman. She was amazing. She did like 2 takes of everything, and it was like all perfect. And then I just kind of cut it in. The sound mixer did like a little, little distortions and stuff, and yeah, it worked out.
I just loved it because it was bloody. There was a lot of body parts getting sliced off in half, getting
Yes.
sucked into the magical hat, and there was like a twist after twist. There were so many arms. I was like, where's this going? And then towards the end, that was way beyond twisted. That's all I have to say.
Awesome. I'm glad you thought so. Yeah, it was just it was a really fun project to make. It was a lot of work. One thing about the VFX I wanted to say was the spoon in the eye,
Yeah.
with the spoon sticking out of her eye. That we shot, we shot it, and it didn't work very well. But we also ran out of time, so we had to add a third shooting day anyway. And we redid it, and it still didn't quite work. And so in post, I had to go in and digitally, and like every single shot, you see that stupid spoon. I had to go in and like mask out all of we had like this giant Band-Aid around it, and it was like sticking up, and yeah, I had to go in and fix all of those. It took several hours from coming up with the idea to finally saying it's finished, we're submitting to festivals, was like 2 years.
Wow, that's a long time. So when you finally got it out, sent to film festivals, and when you went and sat with the audience, what were you thinking? What the audience was thinking? Were you a little nervous, or were you worried about if they were going to like it or not?
Yeah, I was just like, oh my God, please laugh. Please laugh, audience. I was like, I didn't mind so much if they were scared. I'm so like satisfied to hear that this was like so creepy and scary for you, and I hope that that's the same for other people. But mostly, I was like, oh my God, I hope that people laugh at the right times.
Well, I did. I laughed at the right times, and I loved the blood in it, which was great. I'm glad you added the blood in it because I was like, yes, you know. And,
Yes.
and the thing I think that really creeped me up about it is, when I was a little kid and everything, I really didn't like clowns. So I was like, but for some reason, I keep on going back watching these messed up, horror films with clowns, you know. So I was watching your film. And then I watched Clown Fear. I don't know if you sat and watched Clown Fear, but that movie was way beyond messed up too.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that movie was crazy. Yeah, just all of the wild clowns. I love the idea. I mean, clowns, like dark clowns, lend themselves so well to horror because they're supposed to be this like colorful person that comes in and just like entertains and brings pure joy, and that's their job. That's the idea of what it's supposed to be. And yet there's so many people who are like terrified of clowns. and they're just like, they're not supposed to be scary, but it also is scary, the idea of like, I don't know who that is. Like, they typically are wearing either a mask or like makeup, and they're like hiding their identity. It's like there is something a little bit creepy about that.
Yeah, remember not too long ago when you saw guys dressed as creepy clowns walking around the streets? Remember the clown phenomenon? Oh my gosh. And seeing some of those videos really freaked me out because that could really happen, man.
Oh my God, yeah. That would be so scary. And then there was like that one clown where like parents would hire this clown to like go and stand outside to like scare their kids or something.
What?
I feel like there was like a movie about it. It may have been a mockumentary, but I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I saw it recently, and I was like, oh my God. If my parents did me, that would be scarring.
Oh, that would stun me for life, man. That would even make me more not like clowns, you know? Can't you picture your parents after they do that? It's like, oh, by the way, in a couple weeks, we're going to Ringling Brothers and Barnaby's Circus. And you're like, no.
Thank you.
Have you ever thought about maybe making this into like a feature film?
Oh, yeah. I've had ideas about the feature. I think the things that I would want to include in the feature film. I just have this kind of idea about it. I haven't written a script, but it would be great to see Jess go and find her parents at the carnival.
Mm-hmm.
That would be great. It would be great to see like flashbacks of her relationship with Megan.
Yes,
because that like really helped inspire her journey. And then another thing I thought would be really, really funny is if Megan was a zombie. So she comes back and is like walking around without arms and like is sort of rotting because she's undead and is like going after Jess.
that's pretty wild. There's another film you did. It got good reviews too. Definitely need to see it. Tell me about Playing with Spiders.
Oh my gosh, I will send you the link to it. So Playing with Spiders was the short film that I did before this. It was not fun. It was originally supposed to be also a horror comedy, but none of the comedy played. So I had to take it all out. It's just a horror film. And that one I do have a feature film written about. So I originally wrote the feature screenplay, and then I was like, oh, I want to make a short proof of concept for it. And so I did that other one sort of backwards from what I did Clown. But Playing with Spiders is about a spider worshipping cult on the verge of ritual suicide, and one of the cult members like is visited by this demon that talks her into like ruining the ritual and summoning the demon.
Ooh, definitely send that. You have my attention on that. I like stuff like that. It's something like different and it kind of will mess with you a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're not filmmaking or writing scripts or being a VFX artist, what's your passion? Do you have like a little nerdy passion you like doing besides filmmaking?
Oh my gosh! I mean, filmmaking is most of my life for sure. I love writing. I love directing, making shorts on the side. My day job is editing, so I am also immersed in that. I'm also writing a novel on the side.
Wow! What kind of novel?
It's a corporate comedy with a little bit of a sci-fi element.
Nice.
About a social media person who uncovers that her the corporation that she's working for is like hiding this wormhole, and the wormhole leads to another planet that is like basically just pure happiness. You go onto this planet and you can't feel anything but happy, and they're mining the planet for like happiness, and then they put it in their chocolate bars, and that's how they sell all these chocolate bars. So that's kind of the premise of it. It's kind of fun. I also have a tarantula.
Oh, you have a pet tarantula. What got you in having a pet tarantula? What decided you to get a pet tarantula?
It was when I was making Playing with Spiders. I was trying to look for stock footage to do like the spider demon in the film, and I found a little bit of it, but there was still like a bunch that I was like, I can't find the perfect footage for it. So I was like, oh, I'll go film somebody else's tarantula. But it was hard to find somebody else with a tarantula, so then I was like, I will just get a tarantula myself. And I still have her. She's really lovely. She's a Chilean rose hair, so she has like a pink top.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So when you got a tarantula for a pet, were you kind of like nervous or a little scared, or it's like, oh, this is no big deal, this would be kind of cool to have this a pet?
I was terrified. I was terrified of spiders, which prompted me to make the film. And then getting a spider was like, I was like, oh my God, I hope they don't live very long. They do. They live like 20, 30 years. So she was a little bit of a life investment. I haven't held her. I held her when I first got her in the store, and they put her in my hands. And then they took her out of my hands.
So what did it feel like when she was in your hands? Was she trying to crawl up on you?
She was, yeah. She was like crawling up my arm, and she was like webbing me also. and I was just like, oh my god, this is the craziest thing. It was so terrifying.
So
I'm like touching my skin right now. I'm
I,
like,
oh, that would feel weird if the tarantula was shooting webs on my arms or whatever. I'd be like having that weird freaky vibe of like, oh my god.
yeah. It was like a horror movie. I was like, oh my god, I'm getting webbed right now.
So, what got you into horror? What was that one film that you watched that really got you? It's like, man, this is cool. I'm going to try to watch more. What was that one film or situation that got you into liking horror?
That's a good question. I think when I was really, really young, my dad put on Bubba Hotep.
Okay.
And there's that scene. I don't remember the movie like really at all, so don't
okay.
on it. But there was this one scene where there's this mummy, and he's like creeping around the old folks' home, and he finds this wire hanger.
Yeah.
He like encounters the guy, and he like sticks the wire hanger up his nose or something like that. And I was just like, I was terrified. It terrified me, and I couldn't. Like, even now, it's hard for me to sleep without, like, the blanket over my head. Like a little cocoon over my head. That totally freaked me out. But then as I got older, I was really, really inspired by Tim Burton's movies. So Beetlejuice was one of my favorites. Nightmare Before Christmas, obviously. I feel like there are more. I even liked his Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which I know is not... It's a controversial opinion. I don't think that it's better than the original one, but I did, as a child, really, really enjoy watching it.
So, what do you think about the upcoming Willy Wonka prequel film that's coming out?
Oh my god, I am so excited. I'm so excited. I think the trailer looks so good. It's the Paddington guy.
Yeah, he looks perfect for the role, and then Hugh Grant is a Oompa Loompa painted orange. That's priceless.
Amazing. It's gonna be. I don't know. I think it's gonna be fun at the very least.
I think so too. I'm gonna watch it too because I'm like you. I like the original. I saw the Johnny Depp version. I mean, I like Tim Burton too. Tim Burton has some very genuine films. You know, I loved his Batman films, and then of course. I loved Frankenweenie. You gotta love Frankenweenie, man.
Oh, you gotta love Frankenweenie. Yeah.
I felt for that dog too, man.
Yeah. It's hard losing a pet.
Yes, it is. So, where can everybody find you on social media to see what you're doing next? And do you have are you working on another project as well?
Not working on anything right now because of this crazy strike. Although I am still, I'm currently polishing up the Playing with Spiders feature screenplay, and then hopefully I can get to shopping that around. But for now, I'm on Instagram at rylan.film, and I'm also on Facebook.
Are you on Facebook under Rylan or?
Yeah, Rylan Rafferty.
Okay. Yeah, I hope this writer's strike finally ends because you guys deserve more. Because without you, we wouldn't have films, TV shows, and making those actors look good. I'm all for it, and I hope it all works out with you. Because I'm tired of this strike. I don't want to watch all this crappy reality TV, which is stupid. You know, I want to watch some good films, and you know, I'm also a strong supporter of indie film. So since the writer strike's going on and the actor strike is going on, do you think indie film and indie horror film, do you think it's going to get more popular of more people watching that during the whole strike?
I definitely hope so. I mean, I've heard tell of SAG giving out, you know, waivers to independent films that, you know, agree to the things that they want, the things that they're trying to negotiate for. And I think that, like, if they can just give out, like, you know, enough waivers that we just don't even need studios, then like, sure, it's sad. You know, we won't have like the $100 million Marvel movies, but I'd love to see us getting back to like spec movies and original ideas and original content. And I don't know. I'm excited for that, but yeah, and I'm sure it's hard. I'm sure it's hard.
Yeah, it is. I was reading up. There's a lot of filmmakers getting those waivers. Kevin Smith just got one, and then Michael J. White, he's got one because he's doing a comedy western. You know, because he did Black Dynamite, so he's doing another film about a western where he plays an outlaw. So I follow him on Instagram, and he's all excited now since he got the waiver, so he can like finally share the film. And then of course, you know, Kevin Smith's excited because he's filming his next film. So
yes, amazing. We need more.
exactly. And do you all and have you also noticed? Do you think indie horror is going to get more popular because you see more indie horror films finally getting to the big screen at movie theaters now? Do you think there's going to be more and more of that, kind of like the 80s horror?
I don't know. I mean, of course, I hope so because I love horror. I love watching horror. I love making horror, and I would like there to be more opportunities for me to make horror and women to make horror in general, and LGBTQ people, and you know, I would like there to be more.
I think so too. And thank you so much for coming on and having fun with me tonight.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. This was really, really fun and lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too. And everybody, thank you for listening to Horror